In the gallant days when history hung on the flight of an arrow or the slash of a sword, when feudal barons ravaged the countryside to live in pomp and splendor.
It is truly colorful, exciting, fascinating entertainment every minute of the way.
Moonsea Adventures.
Hello and welcome back to Season 2 of the Moonsea Adventures. I'm here with the cast, and in the last episode, the gang ventured into the Moonwatch Hills between Melvaunt and Flan in search of the Mad Druid to deliver an important message from the mysterious Night Lady of Melvaunt. And you guys had made your way about halfway into the Moonwatch Hills and found yourselves in a valley where you discovered kind of an abandoned camp. After exploring and searching, you had an encounter with some sturges and also a strange undead person. And after you've defeated this undead person, you discovered that the two scimitars that were master forged scimitars had been stamped with the very same symbol that Harley had seen in his vision when he communed with the Raven Queen, his patron. So we pick up here, it's late afternoon, maybe about 4 p.m. And you guys are at this abandoned camp. What would you like to do?
I'm going to need a long rest. So I think I want to clean out the Vardo.
Okay.
And I'd like to kind of rest there. If you don't mind, I don't want to take a watch tonight. It's hit pretty bad.
So you guys are going to do camp early then and just use this camp?
Why not?
Okay.
It's already set up.
Sure.
Yeah, we may wake up a little bit earlier, like just before the dawn. And
there are, like I said, there's the intact. Everything's intact. The tents. There was that one crate that had like rotten food. You guys kind of dragged that away from the camp to avoid the smell and the bugs. But everything else is intact. So you set up a camp. You have some rations and some water. Does anyone else want to do anything specific while there's still light?
I want to set up my. I want to set up my hunting trap quite a distance away with the some of the old food on top of it and the dead sturge body that's still intact.
Okay. All right. You take a little time to do that.
And then I'm going to sit down and rest.
Okay. How about Syllar?
I'm just going to try on some of the noble's clothing, see which ones fit best.
Okay. They seem very tailored, but you kind of have a smaller build than the deceased, so it fits a little loose, but it fits.
Okay.
How about Angler?
So I'm guessing the clothes won't fit the 5'6" bird.
They would fit, but they would be very, very loose.
I'm fine with that.
Okay.
Like the hands to the sleeve drapes over the hand.
Yeah, you could pull your hand, through the sleeves, and then you have these huge hanging sleeves that kind of blouse around your arms.
Other than that, nothing else.
Okay, what's Harley doing?
well, I will prepare like things for camping. Maybe some improvised fireplace if we need it, and maybe cook some rations. And after that, before my watch, I will just pray to the Raven Queen, not necessarily to commune with her, but just to tell her that I'm on the right path.
Okay. Yeah, and you guys have plenty of time, like, to do all the normal, kind of stuff. And as you kind of move into this base camp, You feel like you're pretty well set up, pretty comfortable. Let's see. Who has the best passive perception? I think Syllar.
14.
Yeah, Syllar, go ahead and make a perception check for me.
It's perception 12.
Okay. As this, a few hours go by, you guys kind of, are hanging around. Maybe, I don't know if you have a fire going or if you're just kind of hanging around in the camp. But you see a hawk, like kind of circling the valley, circling the area where you guys are. You see it actually swoop down at one point, and it flies down kind of near the, I guess, where the pile of scourge bodies is. And it sort of picks at some of the scourge meat. So it's maybe 20, 30 feet away from you.
What
you might find peculiar is, remember that since you left Melbont, you have not really seen birds, animals, anything. Presumably because of this apocalyptic plague that has befallen this region. So this hawk does not look infected. It's not paying you guys any attention. It kind of has you, out of the corner of its eyes as it's sort of picking through the meat on those scourge bodies. But its eyes seem normal.
Well, guys, maybe it's a long shot, but we may try that. I try to not shout, but loudly speak to the bird. Something like, "Tell your master we need to speak with him. We have a message." Maybe it will work.
Well, the hawk looks up at you. Some of the meat and blood kind of dripping from its beak, and it kind of looks at you when you say that. And then it kind of goes back to eating the meat.
Oh. It was worth a shot.
After about a minute, it kind of finishes up, and then it sort of jumps away and then flaps its wings and starts to fly off. You notice it kind of flies up and around in a spiral one more time, like kind of over your camp, and then it sort of heads south, kind of towards the coast of the Moonsea.
Maybe the life is returning. So the plague might be over in other regions.
Around here.
I'm gonna just do a little walk around and see where the tracks are going. Those drag marks.
You would need to walk for several miles, because remember those drag marks headed north and west. You guys you're south of that now. So I mean you could. There's still
No,
we were following the tracks, and then we saw the camp a little bit further away from the tracks.
Right.
I'll stay close to camp.
You remember that Ushun had done like a scout when you were still in the hills, and you saw that those tracks were going northwest. So if you wanted to, you could. I'll say that it's still, there's still light out. It's maybe 6 p.m. by this point.
No, I'm taking some hit dice, so I'm healing some hit dice. So yeah, I'll just do that. Sit by the fire. Go to bed early.
Meanwhile, I'll be just teaching Angler some new words.
Okay.
Maybe some swears and important stuff.
Swears and demonic.
So As night's going to approach, are you guys going to do watches? And if so, who's on first, second, and third watch?
I'll
I
take,
take the
first.
first one.
I'll do second then.
Put me on the last watch.
Okay, so Ushun,
I'm fine. I'm just 4 hours of meditation and I'm all good. So
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
I can take 2 watches if you need.
so I'll say on the first watch, Harley, you and Syllar are awake while Ushun and Angler are sleeping. Let's see. Syllar, go ahead and roll a d20 for me.
Not 20.
Okay. During your watch, night has fallen. It's, early night, maybe around 9 p.m. You notice that like the sky is pretty well lit, like it's a fairly full moon, and there are a few clouds, sort of a light breeze, kind of blowing through the valley, and you see the silhouette of that hawk flying around way up in the sky. It looks like it's returned.
Okay.
Now, do you guys have a fire going or not?
Well, I
I don't really see a need.
Only if it's cold.
It's not cold. Like it's kind of like low 70s. So you're without a fire, you're fine.
I just cooked some rations before the dusk, and then we may doze it off.
Mhm.
Okay. So you see that hawk kind of flying overhead. And after a little while, it sort of swoops down and lands about 20 feet away from you. And this time it doesn't go over to the sturge bodies. It sort of like flaps its wings and hops forward a few feet at a time until it's maybe 10 feet away from you guys.
I want to try and approach it. And try and get in range and try and grab hold of him, touch him.
Make an animal handling check.
I want to attempt a beast bond.
Meanwhile, I just go to this pile of sturge bodies and bring some for that bird.
Okay.
Which role was that?
Animal handling.
Animal handling. That's a 9.
Okay, so you kind of slowly get up to approach it, and it sort of flaps its wings back a little bit, and as you get closer, it kind of turns and flies off.
Oh, rats.
You see that it flies again. It does like kind of a circle flying up over your camp, and then again it flies south.
Right.
Well, I try to lure that hawk with the sturge bodies, and I'm looking on the sky, and Syllar, we have no such things as stars.
Mm-hmm.
It's curious. What are they?
Sorry?
What are those stars on the sky? I wonder, because in Shadowfell, the night sky is always present, but without any lights, without moon, without sun, without stars.
I'm not sure what these stars are made of. If these are eyes of the gods or fires of the gods, or I'm not a scientist. I'm not learned in this. I just know that they are stars and help us point the way. But
maybe they are souls of fallen heroes and villains and all the people. Maybe we will have our own star one day.
Mm-hmm.
You hear?
And where's that damn bird?
You hear Ushun snoring really loudly.
Yeah, Ushun, I know. But where's the damn bird? You scared him.
I wanted to make friends with him and see if we can use his eyes and see what's going on around here.
Maybe we'll have another shot. We'll see.
Talking about flying, what about sending your friend out, doing another scouting run?
Yeah, well, Murmur, can you take a flight around and see what you see? Just give us a hint if there are any animals or
go 300
birds.
feet.
Yeah. You know, you got a point, little friend.
You send Murmur up, and about 30 minutes pass, and Murmur tells you telepathically that he says, Master, there are trees. There are trees walking, Master.
What? What? Like,
there are trees walking some ways north of the camp where you are. And then you look through Murmur's eyes and you see he is up in the sky, and below, barely illuminated by the moonlight, you see trees, a few trees of different sizes. Some of them are smaller, maybe only like 10 or 15 feet tall. And then there are a few that are like 30 and 40 feet tall. And they are moving very slowly, following what has now become kind of a trench almost of what looks to you like the similar kind of drag marks that you guys saw before. And it looks like these trees are following those drag marks, and they're heading northwest.
Well, do you remember, Syllar, as I told you about those stories from my realm?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those walking trees.
Those trees are here too. Did you know that?
Wow, what? Is that what Murmur sees?
Yeah, there's a lot of trees moving towards the northwest. Well,
right.
Isn't there that big gloomy forest over there?
I
What's
think
called
the Thar
Thar
is over there.
Thar. Okay. Yeah.
That's not a forest. That's a wasteland.
Yeah, you know that the Thar is kind of a swampy wasteland.
Okay.
And this is more like Syllar. This is more like your area of expertise. The Thar is the land there is not tenable. Like the soil is polluted, and there are legends about many different kinds of reasons and legends about why that is. But like, there's no agriculture in the Thar. Like, crops don't grow there. The only things that grow there are some kinds of like swamp plants and swamp trees. But the soil's really not good for growing anything. And even if there are trees in the Thar, they're very sporadic, very sparse. There's no like great forest within the Thar.
Mm-hmm.
I've never been there. Actually, I thought it's a forest. Doesn't matter.
Well,
But they are going there.
Ushun and I have been in the Thar. It's not a happy place.
It seems like my homeland. Yeah.
I think we encountered the first deceased sick person while we were there.
Oh, that's bad. Maybe the sickness came from Thar.
Harley, make a wisdom save.
Okay. 7.
Okay. Nothing happens.
Okay. You know, I can't wait just to carve hearts and limbs from those knights they will suffer.
Can Murmur go further north towards the...
Yeah, sure. It's good. Murmur, just go a little bit further to the north. We need to see.
Okay.
But keep your distance.
Murmur travels a little bit further north. And again, maybe about 20 minutes later, Master, more trees moving. And you look through his eyes and you perceive another cluster of 5 or 6 trees also following this deep trench. And at this point, it's pretty much out of the Moonwatch Hills, and to the northwest is like where these trees seem to be going. And there's a portion of the Moonwatch Hills to the northwest that is right up against the Thar. And it looks like that's the direction they're going in. And about another 20 minutes later, as you are contacted again by Murmur, you look through Murmur's eyes and you see this line, almost like a wall of trees of different sizes that are kind of right along the edge of the Thar. Sort of in this line between where the Thar ends and the Moonwatch Hills end along that northwest corridor.
Well, I think that those trees are making a wall against the infected. Or maybe against the infection itself. You know, there is like an outline made of trees that moved there, and it's directly on the border of the Thar. It's very strange. There are no creatures that I can see.
And just so you know, when I say a wall, I don't mean that they're tightly put together.
Yeah.
They're spaced out probably like 50 feet apart. So in total, you see that are already there, you see probably 30 trees. So this line kind of covers a long range of positions. Like it's about a half of a mile of spacing trees that kind of form this line.
All right.
At the very end of this line, which would be the furthest northwest, is the biggest of the trees. And it is a 150-foot tall weeping willow tree, which looks like it's more native to the Thar. But you have also seen those kind of trees near lakes and rivers. And it looks like maybe that was the tree that started this push because it had the deepest roots.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's very strange.
Yeah. Can Murmur see any light sources down there? Maybe the campfire or something from the druid?
No. Murmur spends another hour just invisibly flying around scoping it out. There's no life forms in this area other than these trees, not even animals or plants.
All right.
I mean, animals or humanoids.
Well, I presume that we will continue our search for the druid tomorrow, but maybe that border is where we should start, If those trees are making such strange things, maybe that the druid is controlling them.
Yeah, but wouldn't Murmur have seen a camp near there?
Well, not necessarily. He may be hidden somewhere.
Yeah.
Maybe some underground burrow or some cave.
Yeah. Well, at least we know what we can expect.
Yeah, and as I told you.
We might want to try in the morning to send Murmur out in daylight and see if those trees are still walking or that the daylight freezes them in place.
Yeah, he'll be happy for some freedom. It was a long few months, you know.
Well, maybe you should take a rest and let me take the rest of this next session.
Okay, but if Murmur finds something, I tell him just to wake me up, you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I go to sleep.
You kind of switch out. You meditate for a little while, Syllar, and then a few hours later, you wake up Angler. You and Angler are kind of in the camp. It's middle of the night now.
Yeah, and I'll inform him about Murmur seeing those trees move and forming a line at the border.
Both of you make perception checks.
Oh.
18.
12.
Okay, Syllar. You see the hawk fly from the south, circle your camp about 3 times, and then fly north.
By the way, this is still considered grassland, or is this hills not grassland?
This is hills.
All right. No proficiency doubling.
So, kind of flying in towards you guys from the south, circles your camp about 3 times, and then flies to the north.
Mm-hmm. Wonder where the hawk is up to.
The rest of your shift passes uneventfully. Literally no other birds, animals, anything. That morning arrives, so all of you guys have had a long rest and reap all the benefits of that long rest. And morning arrives. What do you guys want to do?
Checking my trap.
Well, I can tell you right now, it's not gonna set off.
Your trap is covered with flies who are just breeding all over the dead meat.
Okay, well I'll use my halberd to pull the hunting trap out of there and clean it off as best I can. Stick that back in my pack. So what went on last night?
Well, Harley sent Murmur out to scout around, and he saw some trees moving up to the north. He sent them up further north to inspect, and he found
there was a wind.
No,
or something.
Trees walking.
Nah.
I told you about those stories, just to be fair.
Nah.
And Hardy saw through Murmur that there was a whole line of like a couple of 100 feet long line of trees bordering the hills and the Thar as a division.
No.
He couldn't see any other. Didn't notice anything about the Druid, but we suspect he'd be close to that line.
Alrighty
controlling
then.
those trees or.
And Ushun, do you know what the stars are?
Yeah,
What are they?
they're markers.
Oh! And I thought that they are
I point to the north. If you see a really bright one right there, you can't see it now, but right there, that means that's north.
Okay, and what about the other stars?
Well, some of them make patterns, and there are stories about them, but I could never see the patterns. I just look at the ones that are distinct, like there's a really, really like bright white blue star in the west that I've used for navigation, and there's a red star underneath the star that points north that is said to be some kind of gem on the belt of a hunter thing, a sky hunter. I can never see the patterns, but
Okay.
that's what my grandma said.
Okay, I got it. Angler, what do you think the stars are?
In your voice, I'll say, souls.
Oh, you were listening. Oh, you sneaky little birdie.
Speaking of birdie, is that hawk flying around anymore?
I saw him flying over a couple of times, but couldn't catch him.
You don't see any hawk. No.
Guess who has proficiency in animal handling?
And what about the murmur? What may he found out?
Murmur really didn't find out anything new, other than that like it seems like the trees almost know where to stand, and they seem to be about, like I said, like 100 feet apart from each other, of varying sizes and varying types that look like they've come from sort of all over the region. Some of them are kind of like coastal trees, some of them are kind of hill trees, some of them varying types. But like I said, the biggest one that's at the end of the line is a big weeping willow that looks like more like a tree that would come from the Thar.
Yeah. But now that it's daylight, does he still see them moving, or have they stopped moving?
No, they basically have stopped. So Murmur would tell you that there's about a dozen of them at different intervals along the trench leading northwest. And it looks like when daytime came, they stopped.
Okay. Night crawlers. All right.
So which way we going?
Well, Harley and I figured we might want to go north towards that big willow tree. See if we can find that druid camp. Maybe if the druid is camped around there. Of course, keeping our eyes open all the way. But
No, maybe
we expect him to be in control there.
maybe that hawk will show up again. Maybe we can speak with him again.
Try and lure it in.
Yeah.
You say it flies north and then it comes back south?
Yeah, it was going
very
back and
strange.
forth. It was going back and forth and circling our camp for a little bit, and then fly south, come back, circle around, go north. So, like I said, if we can catch him, I want to try him. If I can use my what was it called again? Beast bond, and see if we can communicate and see what it's up to.
Okay, I give to the angler a few sturges, and
there isn't much left.
Yeah, I know, but anything's better than nothing. And give those to Ushun when the hawk shows up.
I got something better. I know how to track birds.
Yeah, but those are his favorites.
It's
Trust
just
me.
what he was eating.
Yeah, because they are his favorites.
Because there's nothing else around.
No.
Anyway, let's get going.
Yeah,
Okay.
let's get an early start and head on out.
Sorry, I was muted. Okay, so tell me which direction you're going, because the path through the Thar leads to the west, back up into the path through the Moonwatch Hills leads to the west. Or are you going to head north through the valley to intercept the trench and follow the tree path?
I think we should
I'd say
go
the
west.
I'd say go north towards the big tree.
Okay, northwest it is. The best of both worlds, you know?
So,
Yeah.
sorry, one more time. What's your plan?
They want to go to the trees, so let's go to the trees. Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay,
heck?
so you guys head north through the valley, and after a few miles, you kind of come across this trench, which is much deeper and wider at this point. And you see another couple like smaller trenches that sort of feed into this one from the east and the north.
Mm-hmm.
You follow along the trench, presumably, not walking in it, but following along it, and you come across a clutch of 4 trees who seem to just be planted in this trench.
What kind of trees?
It's a mix. There's, a few different trees, like a, maple, an oak, a birch tree.
What age are they? They're above sapling. They look like mature trees.
I'll say there's like 2 small, 2 medium, and 1 large.
Okay.
I make a small mark on each of them, like by half-burnt torch or something, or some coal or something.
Okay.
Just to keep track of them.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Make them handy later.
All right. You guys continue following along the trench. A few miles later, you come across another group of trees. Same thing, you mark them.
And kind of set up.
Mm-hmm.
And about 1 mile later, you start to see that the trench continues northwest, but it looks like trees have broken off from the trench, and you start to see essentially what Murmur saw is the line. So you see like a tree is broken off. There's like a dragging that you guys saw, and then it looks like it's moved a couple hundred yards north towards the Thar, and then planted itself in that spot. And then about 100 feet down from that, there's another one. And then 100 feet down from that, there's another one. So you walk about a half mile.
Hang on. When we were getting this close to the tree line, I want to use my primeval awareness and sense whether there's any aberrations, celestials, dragons, elementals, fae, fiends, undead within a mile.
Ooh, touche. Okay. Is there any like roll or save or anything?
No. Let's see, what was it again? Where was that line? As an action, you can expend 1 ranger spell slot, 1 minute per level, to sense anything that's close. It doesn't reveal the creature's location or number. So it's just a spell that will tell me if there's any aberrations, celestials, dragons, elementals, fae, fiends, undead within a mile. No count, no direction, just if.
Within a mile. No. And that would cover, that radius would more than cover the current line. So you're kind of concentrating on this. You guys are walking up the line. Like I said, about every 100 feet, there's a tree that's moved off of the big trench to its position. And at the end of the trench, you see where the big weeping willow moved up into its position.
Yeah. Well, of course, I let the guys know that I haven't sensed any of those creatures within a mile. But
That's great.
It doesn't. It wouldn't tell me if there would be a druid, of course, but at least not really expecting any.
It doesn't matter.
Bad boys.
Now, to give you guys some sense, right? At this point, the border of the Thar and the Moonwatch Hills kind of runs in a northwest-southeast direction. So the trees have lined up kind of spaced out every 100 feet along this border. So when you get to the Weeping Willow, you're kind of at the northern end of the Moonwatch Hills, the northwestern end of the new Moonwatch Hills.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, are the branches of the Weeping Willow to the very ground, or are they higher up?
Yeah, some of them.
Okay, I want to maybe kill myself. I want to move around those branches and up to the very trunk of the tree and knock on it. Hey, Mr. Druid, we need to speak with you. Is anybody home? And I wait for a solid 15 to 20 seconds.
Yeah, nothing.
Okay, he's not there. We may try to search elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
I want to touch the bark of that tree with my bare hand.
Okay.
Just.
It feels solid and real. And you're having been from a tribe that frequented the Thar, you know these kind of trees. They're the most common swamp tree in the Thar.
I'm going to look down at its base. So it's firmly planted?
Well, firmly in the sense that, like, it's not moving, but it's not, you could tell that this hasn't been here, right? Like, you could see exposed roots that have plunged into the ground here. There's no buildup of dirt or mulch around it or leaves. Like, you could tell. Now, how long has it been here? I mean, you could make a nature check if you want to try to estimate how long the tree has been here.
All right.
Well, for good measure, I marred the tree.
That's a 16.
You feel like this tree, the willow, has probably been here for about 3 months, which is around the same amount of time that you guys had been holed up in Melvaunt, like kind of the duration of the apocalypse.
And when the druid went missing. All right.
Well, we're done here.
Yeah, there's no evidence or any camp or anything in the area.
Not in the area where the trees are. No, like I said, to the southwest of you are the northwestern part of the Moonwatch Hills.
Mm-hmm.
And then further southwest beyond that is Flan.
Yeah.
I will send a murmur about a mile to the north, and then just to make a circle around the line of trees and come back from the southeast.
Okay.
And we may go west.
Go southwest.
So you send murmur
We might try that.
into kind of around the wall, but also into the Thar, and he does this 1 mile radius.
Yeah.
He tells you, and you see and experience through his senses that you don't see any anything that would really catch your attention in terms of like humanoids or travelers or camps or anything like that. But you do notice that life in the swamp, like at least a mile into the Thar, seems to have gone on. Like there's lizards and frogs and birds and squirrels and other, toads and things that live in the swamp.
Guys, the life is slowly coming back, and I think that it's only a matter of time, but we should still find that druid, I think.
Yeah.
So we may go a little bit more west.
And south.
Yeah, okay. And we may
Guys, the
search-
Star is a dangerous place.
Yeah, I know. I'm not going there.
No.
But we might take a look for that bird, for that hawk we saw yesterday. And maybe we can track him or something. I don't know. I'm not bushman or something. Well, Syllar, you can use your thingy.
His elvish eyes.
Yeah, exactly that.
No, my scope.
Yeah.
My
I couldn't
monocular.
remember the word, this new world and new words and so on.
So you
Stars
guys,
are there.
you're still under the shade of the willow. Murmur comes back. It's just, it's still morning. Like, it's only like 9 a.m. So
Sure, we should go on.
So where do you guys want to go?
Southwest.
Okay, so you want to go into the Moonwatch Hills.
Yeah.
Okay, so you start kind of walking, and it's pretty easy moving initially, and then it kind of becomes a little more hilly, a little more rocky, and you travel about a mile up into the hills, and you come across a camp, and it looks like there was a fire at some point. You can see about 5 or 6 tents, let's say 6 tents. And you see some crates, you see some bags, and it looks like the bags have like grains, like rice and beans and things in it, and they seem to be dried but not rotten, like intact. You see like a whole kind of kitchen setup with pots and pans and utensils. And you see sort of like a makeshift table. It's like a bunch of boards that have been laid over between 2 rocks. And it looks like this has been a relatively recently used camp. Like the fire might still even have some coals in it. But no one's there.
Are there any insignias on the crates or the sacks?
No. The crates, if you go to like open them, the lids have already been pried off, but you lift the lids, and it looks like each of the crates has kind of more food. One of the crates has like bottles of wine. Another crate has big ceramic, like clay jugs of water in it. Like it looks like this camp was fairly well supplied.
Well,
When I
wherever,
try to stock up at least my water bottle, water flask, water skin.
wherever those people are, they shouldn't be far away.
I say we wait for them to come back. Let's not touch any of their stuff.
Okay, so I'll help yourself with the water, and then look around for some marks on the ground. We may find something. And you, Angler, look for something shiny.
I want to look for a larger structure, maybe a cave. Okay. I don't know.
Go ahead. You can all make perception checks.
18 on looking for tracks.
Okay. I'll start with you. You find tracks, actually. You find tracks that go west. You find tracks that go south. And you find, actually just west and south. through the
relatively fresh.
Yeah, like not just relatively fresh, but you see older tracks too that look like perhaps these two routes of west and south have been regular. Like this is something that's routine.
Okay, can I get a head count and identify what kind of creatures left those footprints?
It looks like humanoid, like boot prints, and it looks like groups of 3 seem to be the routine. Like 3 go south, 3 go west.
Okay, going back and forth.
Yes.
Yep. All right.
Angler, what'd you get?
A 6.
Okay, you're just kind of pittering through the camp. You look in the crates. There's food. There's jugs of water and bottles of wine. You kind of look through the tents. The tents all have bedrolls in them. You see backpacks. You see clothing. It just looks kind of like someone's camp to you. You don't really find anything what you would perceive as like valuable. Ushun, what did you get?
18. I'm looking for some kind of more permanent structure or vehicle or something.
Okay. So I'll say that you walk around because you said you wanted to look through the hills for like a cave.
Yeah, something like that.
You do find like a small cave, but it doesn't look like anything has lived in it. Nothing's really there, nothing interesting. You don't see near the camp, you don't see any tracks, but while you're looking around through the hills, you find very old tracks that look like maybe a horse with a wagon at some point passed through here. And it sort of follows a path that looks like it goes west. Harley, what did you get?
I got 12, and
Okay.
I'm looking on solely for the markings of the flying serpent with the orb.
Yeah, you don't see any of those kind of markings. Coincidentally, you also don't see any markings on the crates or the tents to indicate any sort of alliance or faction.
Okay.
So you guys, I'll say, like, spend about a half an hour kind of exploring, and you kind of come back together at this camp.
Yeah. Harley, I found some tracks, look like humanoids going south and west. Can you send Murmur to track those lines and see where those tracks are going? They're quite recent. They're going back and forth, coming back to camp.
Sure, but we can cover both sides at the same time. We can go in one direction, and then Murmur can go in the opposite direction. No.
That's also an option.
Okay. So
I want to check one more thing. I'm going to check out the plants around. Are there any herbs that I know about that look like they've been cut or pulled up?
There aren't really any edible plants. This is a very rocky part of the hills.
Okay, gotcha.
Like it's just scrub brush, if anything.
Okay.
So you send Murmur west or south?
I would think south.
Okay.
Yeah, we can go west.
Murmur travels about 5 miles to the south, and make a perception check for Murmur.
Okay. Ooh. Oh, I think that's bad. 6.
Okay. Murmur follows the tracks basically through that northwest cluster of the Moonwatch Hills to where it ends effectively, and within about a half mile of the road that goes from Flan to Melvont, and then doesn't find anything. Like the tracks kind of end. There's like
in
a
the middle of the
cluster-
road.
No, not even that close to the road. About a half mile north of the road, there's like a little cluster of trees and some rocks and boulders and stuff, and it looks like the tracks end there.
Okay. Look, guys. Murmur found some trees and rocks and stuff, but the tracks
No
end there suddenly. I think there is some hideout there that he could not see.
Or they
We
were
may-
packing up their stuff and just moving the goods back and forth, and now it's empty.
Yeah. Well, we may try go west, and
We can continue west.
if we want to find anything, we can go back.
All right. As you guys are scouting, if you're going to go west, do you also have Murmur scouting ahead?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
I don't want to be surprised.
You guys start following the tracks that Syllar identified that go west. Two things: survival check for Syllar, and then perception check for Murmur.
Survival 23.
Okay, you have no problem following the tracks. Perception check for Murmur.
15.
Okay, so you guys start to head west. You travel about 3 miles through the Moonwatch Hills, kind of up and down. Syllar's following the tracks effectively, and you start to get to where the Moonwatch Hills start to lower into the plains. And it looks like the tracks go north. Kind of now that it's out of the Moonwatch Hills, it kind of goes north through the plains back towards the Thar. You have Murmur kind of scouting and doing sort of a radius around that area. And Murmur notices about a mile north of you, 3 men on foot walking north towards the Thar. When you look through his senses, they look like they are lightly armored with like leather armor. They have, all of them have longbows and swords and like backpacks and rope and water and food. And they're all three of them are humans.
And they are more like brigands or bandits, or more like
Adventurers.
militia or adventurers.
Murmur can get pretty close while he's invisible, so they don't have any insignias on them. They don't look like soldiers. You don't know if they're brigands or adventurers or anything else.
Well, if there is some big rock they are going by, I want Murmur to hide behind it. Okay,
well, you can do that. So you guys are, like I said, as Murmur relays this to Harley, you're about a mile south of where they are, and they're just walking.
Mm-hmm.
As the Murmur is hidden, I want to speak through his senses, and just use my natural voice.
Hurry! They are behind you. They are following you.
And then I let the Murmur stay hidden, just for a while, just to see them how they react to that.
So when you say that, he will appear visible.
Yeah, that's why
I have him go invisible.
Yeah.
Okay, so you notice that the men turn, and like all 3 of them, bows and arrows, and they're like looking around for where that came from. And you hear like one of them say like, "Did you hear that?" "Of course I heard it." And then they're looking around and they say, "I don't see anything." And they kind of spread out and they start searching the area with their bows and arrows kind of ready.
Well, invisible.
We're walking toward them, right?
I guess.
This will keep them occupied. Let's hurry.
Are you walking or are you running?
I'm walking.
I'm definitely running.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say run until we get close enough that we would need to put up our guards.
Okay, Angler.
I'm first gonna use Psionic Whispers on my 3 companions. That is, so we can keep in communication telepathically as long as we're within a mile of each other.
Okay.
Just gotta roll how long it lasts.
All right.
3 hours.
Okay.
And I'm gonna be dashing as well as running.
All right. So Ushun, everybody leaves you behind.
I work at 40. So I'm not going to be behind for long.
They're running and using.
Okay, I'll run.
Okay, so everybody runs, and in no time, because you're running, you get, I'll say, within a couple 100 yards of them. Now, simultaneously, Murmur informs you that, like, after searching the area for about a minute, they kind of lowered their bows and went back to walking towards the Thar. You guys catch up to them, and you're now only a couple 100 yards behind.
I'm gonna stay stealthed.
Okay, you're moving silently, but there's really not a lot of cover in this area.
Mm-hmm.
So visually, you're not going to be covered.
Well, I'm just going to keep walking, and I'm going to say, "Hail, well met. Not many travelers in these parts."
Okay, so you're a ways back, but you yell that pretty loud, and they kind of, the 3 of them turn around, and you notice that, like, all 3 of them kind of drop to one knee, and they sort of spread out a little bit. And you see one of them kind of like shielding the sun from his eyes, and another one pulls out a spyglass and is kind of looking across the distance at you guys. Is Murmur near those 3 guys?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so Murmur's invisible near them. He can hear them, and they're like, one of them's like, "Who is it? How many are there?" He says, "There's 4 of them. Looks like an orc, and I don't know, a couple others." He says, "Short one and a couple other man-sized or maybe elf-sized one side. I can't tell." "Are they armed?" "Yes. Yeah, they have weapons."
I'm not holding it defensively or offensively. I'm just holding it.
And then you hear one of the others not holding the spyglass say, "Are they infected?" And the one with the spyglass says, "They don't seem to be acting like it, but I can't see close enough." And then the one with the spyglass puts his spyglass in his bag, and he says, "Let's go see." And they stand up from their kneeling positions. They have their bows held at their sides and an arrow in the other hand, but they start walking towards you guys.
As they going towards us, Murmur hides again and tell them,
"I told you."
They turn around again, seeming to be very suspicious, looking around, but then they kind of continue walking towards you guys.
So when they get about 20 feet away, I'll stop.
They stop at about 50 feet away.
Okay.
And the one with the spyglass holds up his hand like this, and the other 2 stop.
And I'll hold up my hand.
Then he puts his hand down and he walks forward towards you guys until he's about 20 feet away.
And I'll walk forward toward him.
The man is looks like he's about late 30s, maybe early 40s. Brown hair with some gray, and just a little bit of shadow, as if he shaves, but maybe he hasn't shaved recently. But otherwise seems to be pretty well kept. He's wearing studded leather armor. He's got a backpack on, a hitch of rope at his side. You see a sword at his side and a dagger at the other side, and then his bow is now slung, and there's a quiver of arrows over his other shoulder. And he looks at you and he says, "Where have you come from, and how is it that you are still alive?"
We came from Melvant. We are alive because we were lucky. We found a cure. We helped make the cure. And we're out looking for the druid.
Okay. Those of you with proficiency in insight, go ahead and make a roll.
I don't think any of us have insight.
So he is looking at you and listening to you with like just straight poker face. And he says, "Melvant, I had heard that Melvant fell like Flan and Thentia."
Yeah, well, yeah, but we were there, and we had a very talented herbalist who found and developed a cure. And there was a group in town who was well fortified, had the space to make the cure. We made several bottles, and we were able to cure our people, some of them. And we've been sent out to, like I say, look for the druid.
He says, "What druid?"
Yeah, I don't know, some crazy old guy. Everyone says he's a crazy druid. Yeah, some crazy druid.
When Harley says the Mad Druid, he looks at Harley and he says, "Well, who sent you to look for the Mad Druid?"
The leader of our group.
Our associate, if you will.
And what does your associate want with the Mad Druid?
I don't know. She wrote him a letter, and we're carrying it to him.
You see he kind of pauses and looks at all of you.
We found a camp back there. I told the guys to leave it alone.
He nods. And he says, "You've come from Melvant."
Yeah.
Are there
We've been to Thentia too.
Still infected there?
It basically blew itself out by now.
Yeah.
That's why we were finally sent out. As our leader said it's probably safe enough out here to give it a try and see if we can find a druid.
He says, "Well, you won't find the druid here. He lives by the coast."
Okay. Good to
know. So you know him?
We know him.
Okay.
What can you tell us? How do you know him?
You see he looks kind of back over his shoulder at the other two guys who are still lagging behind. And he nods, and they start to walk forward. And he says, you should come back to the camp with us. It's probably not safe to linger here too long.
For us or for you? Or
For
for... Okay.
It looks like you guys have been out here a couple of times before. Where were you heading?
We patrol the Moonwatch.
For who?
And more recently, the roads. There have not been as many infected as there were. In the last few weeks, it seems like the feral ones have died off or gone somewhere else. We don't know, but we haven't encountered many. And as he's explaining this, the two other guys arrive, and they're kind of looking at you guys.
Well, I am Ushun Blackheart.
I'm Laszlo of the Moonwatch.
Do I know that organization?
Make a history check. You might.
History. Duh.
Actually, Syllar, you could also make one. It would make sense that you might know this.
Rolling which one?
History.
And that's not gonna matter. Let's see. Yeah, 3.
I got 1.
Yeah, you guys aren't familiar with that. He says we make patrols. We patrol all along the western end from north to south of the Moonwatch Hills, and along the southern end along the road. There have not been many survivors, not in several months. And
Well,
the ferals that we have encountered seem to have dwindled off in the last few weeks.
yeah. One thing about very aggressive predators is they run out of food really quickly.
Perhaps.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Let's go back to your camp.
Compare notes.
He nods, and he motions for you guys to
Introduce yourselves, guys.
Oh, sorry. Hi, I'm Syllar.
In the same voice as Harley, I'll just say, Angler.
He nods. He looks at Harley.
I am Harley, the servant of the Raven Queen.
Never mind him. Anyway, I tell him a little bit about our experience in town and about the wild animals that
As you're walking, yeah. Okay.
we saw on the boat. I don't tell him about our boat adventure. I tell him about Thentia and about the huge crab.
Okay.
And stuff like that. I don't say anything about skinned rats or night lady or anything.
Okay, so yeah, you kind of you're sort of recounting some of the things related to the plague, and he seems interested, and the other two guys seem interested, and they lead you back to the camp. You guys get back to the camp, and they set their bows down. They lean their bows up against this big boulder and set their quivers down and go over to one of the crates with food. And one of the guys puts some water in a big pot and throws some beans and some dried herbs and some rice in there and gets the fire going. Looks like he's making something for lunch. Laszlo kind of gestures to their makeshift table, and he sits down and gestures for you guys to sit down, and he says, your story is remarkable. We did not go to any of the cities. Typically, we would resupply from Flan because it's closer than Melvont. And we were fortunate enough to have resupplied just before things started to fall apart in Flan. But supplies dwindled and things became more difficult. So acquiring food and acquiring supplies meant that we had to travel further to find sources where there wasn't a lot of infection.
Have you guys noticed these trees walking and forming a wall between here and the Thar? And I point up to the northeast where the wall is.
Laszlo pauses, and he says, yes. Yes, we have.
Any idea what's causing that?
The trees seem to come from the south.
Mostly.
They have come to assist us, in a manner of speaking. To assist us in forming a watch over this area. Hopefully more will come, but it will take time because they move slowly and they only move at night.
Mm-hmm.
But if enough of them spread out over time, there will be many that will form a line, a signal, an alarm, if you will, to notify us of any problems that could come from the Thar.
But who controls them? Do you guys control these trees? Did you command them to form that line?
No.
What's happening?
No. The Druid is a complex person. He has an affinity with the Moonwatch Hills. He has a tender spot in his heart, if you will, for this relatively small area, and provides some protection. But the Druid is one person, and he does not live in this part of the Moonwatch Hills. He lives to the south along the coast.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
We patrol the Moonwatch Hills, and before the plague, there were more of us. Many more. To the east, unfortunately, closer to Melvont, our comrades fell when there was a horde of the infected. They were vastly outnumbered and they fell. Same with the encampment in the valley. We used to have a patrol like this one who monitored the valley between the east and western parts of the hills from the northern reach of the Thar to the coast. They too fell from a horde of the infected. We were fortunate here, perhaps because we're further northwest off the road, that the infected horde did not make its way to this area.
Just a question. When he's talking to us, is he like shifting eyes, looking down, or directly at us? I want to know if he's
he seems to be
honest.
genuine. He seems to be genuine. You can make an insight check if you want.
Okay, 14.
He seems to be recounting kind of what happened to them. And his tone is one of maybe even grief, like mourning the loss of his comrades. He says we, and as he was saying, that they're fortunate because of how far northwest they are. He says after some time, when the infected horde was cleared, we went to the other two camps, and we were able to recover some of the supplies that they had, some of the food, some of the water. But it has been very difficult, and we've had to ration what we have. And hunting has been difficult because most of the animals that would be in this area or to the plains were either killed by the infected or turned into the infected themselves.
Yeah. Well, we haven't seen any living being other than the trees walking at night and a hawk flying over, but we haven't seen the hawk for a while.
Make
Well,
it a sight check.
well, I have 3 questions for you, my friend.
11.
When you mentioned the hawk, you did notice that his eyes kind of darted over towards you briefly, but he didn't say anything.
Okay. Harley?
I have 3 questions for you, my friend. If you say so that Druid is residing in the hills or on the coast of the hills, why is that so that he destroyed Fenchia?
I can't speak for the Druid. Like I said, he's a very complex person. I don't know what he had to do with Fenchia or any of this.
Never mind. Second question. When the Druid made the trees as the first line of defense, what was the price for this? Or did he do that just by the goodness of his heart?
There is a great price. If we don't patrol, and if the trees are not there as a first line of defense, much worse than the plague will be coming.
And the Druid told you that?
The Druid did. The Druid was able to range far into the Thar, where he discovered something quite unnerving and problematic.
And trust me, I believe you in this matter. And the first
Druid is the one who warned us that we must continue our watch and not give up.
Yeah.
And Druid is the one who summoned the trees to serve as a watch against what is to the north.
Yeah, Druids are usually like that. Well, and third question, my friend. Last one, I promise. Have you seen this? And I pull one of the scimitars of the undead we killed and show them the marking on the blade.
You do?
Yeah.
He's the only one sitting with you. The other two are kind of preparing lunch. You show him the blade, and he pulls his dagger out and puts it to your throat, and he says, I knew it. I knew there was something off about you. And then when he says that, the other two stop what they're doing and they pull their blades. And they look like they're waiting.
I hold up my hands.
I'm calmly sitting and showing them. Have you ever seen that? I repeat my question again.
He says, are you one of them? Answer truthfully or I'll cut your throat.
Wait. Let me explain.
I'm hunting them.
Harley,
Yes.
1 minute.
I am hunting them.
Ushun,
I don't...
All right, 2 things. Ushun, make a persuasion check.
Okay. Persuasion. This will be good. 17. Wow.
All right, you're trying to like defuse the situation, and you're like, wait. And you notice he doesn't move his blade from Harley yet. And the other two seem very uneasy but ready. And his eyes look over to you and he says, speak.
We came upon a Vardo with 3 tents nearby. There was a camp. And we checked it out. And we found inside the Vardo a creature, undead, not a vampire, and we defeated it, and it was holding these blades. And Harley seems to be, and I don't know what his explanation is. This is what I saw. He covets these as he searches for something. We are not part of that, whatever it is. I've never seen this symbol before.
I'm looking him dead in the eye.
He lowers.
He's got issues. He's got issues.
He lowers his blade, and when he does, the other two do as well. And he says, how could you be hunting something that you don't know what it is?
I've traveled far and wide from the depths of the Shadowfell to the other plane where those who murdered, mutilated, and killed all my peers are, and those are them. And I like the chocolate and shit.
He says, we know that symbol.
Oh, tell me more. I'm very curious.
He says, how do I know that you're not spies for them? How do I know that you aren't working for them trying to find the druid?
Don't those people have some kind of mark that identifies them?
No, not if they're spies. If they're spies, they would look like anyone. And he is strange, and he looks at Harley. And that one, the one who doesn't speak much, and he points to Angler.
He can't talk.
Well,
he can't talk.
And you, a half-orc.
Me?
And you, an elf. This is strange company, all of you.
Yeah.
Oh, strange times.
We were part of a, let's say, a well-organized group that did certain jobs that other people didn't want their hands into. It wasn't much. I mean,
we were affiliated with some mob bosses.
Yeah, I mean, it's nothing big. Small, a few coin, a place to stay.
Who?
It's a living.
Who did you work for?
Red Plumes.
Not anymore, I think.
You notice that he looks over at the other two guys, and then he looks back at you and he says, you were mercenaries then?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
I've been trained as a bounty hunter, but this was good enough, so. I don't have any contracts, so.
As we're speaking, I changed my demeanor to some goofier one.
He says, he turns to Syllar, and in Elvish, he says, tell me truthfully, are they serving the drow?
No.
And then he looks at you guys and he says, those are Zentarum blades. whoever you got them from must have been very well regarded amongst that faction to have such fine weapons forged and stamped by them.
Well,
Tell
we
me
found
more.
these clothes, and I'll reach in my pack and I'll pull out a coat and I'll fluff it out and show it to him.
He looks at it and just shrugs. He said, like I said, whoever owned those blades must have been well regarded and apparently wealthy.
And who are those Zentarum? Could you tell me more? Or could you tell all of us more?
The Zentarum are an organization of very, what some might say, evil intent. They have a deep lust for power, and oftentimes what they want, if it's within their reach, they will take, whether it is taking something from someone or not. They are not above stealing and killing if they want something. And oftentimes they find out about things through a network of spies and informants.
Yeah.
That seems interesting. And they are drow.
No, not all of them, but many think that amongst the Zentarum are powerful drow who provide them with arcane knowledge and power, as well as secrets and information that allow the Zentarum to operate in the way that they do.
You know, my people, I don't know if you've ever heard of Shadar Kai. They fought many times side by side with the drow, and they are a pretty nasty bunch, but why would they be here squabbling about some useless power or riches? Every drow we meet here, you mean, is the spy of Zentarum?
I can't speak for every drow, though I would say that the drow do not have a great history here. By most folk in this region, they are regarded as evil.
Yeah, so we are.
Alrighty then. I am a practical woman. So you are going to, I see that hospitality is being offered. I want to thank you for this hospitality by giving you the recipe for the cure. I have a copy. I just need to make a copy for you. And I will let you have that. Have you something to write on?
We do. And he nods to one of the other guys. The guy goes into one of the tents and comes out with a small kind of leather-bound journal and a little like inkwell and a quill, and he sets it down on the table.
Okay, I'll set myself apart and start copying it into the journal.
Okay.
And I'll be doing that as long as I need to.
Yeah, as you're doing that, Laszlo seems a little more at ease. He says, one of the reasons why the druid occasionally helps us in our watch is because for a time the Zentarum used many of the port cities around the Moonsea to establish their criminal activities. Smuggling, trafficking in information, and even assassinations to have more political control over the Moonsea. And it is always difficult to determine whether or not you could trust someone, whether or not they are a spy or somehow a servant or connected to the Zentarum. He says, generations ago, the Moonwatch were all elves. Over time, as the elves moved from this region, they recruited humans like ourselves and taught us the skills of ranging and scouting, the knowledge of nature and herbs, so that we might carry on the Moonwatch as a vigil. Because always has the Thar been a wild and dangerous place, but there is a more recent threat. A threat which began last season, merely perhaps 5-6 months ago. The Druid found that there was a new power rising in the Thar.
Mm-hmm.
He has not been able to verify if this power has an alliance with the Zentarum or with any other factions, but this power has grown, especially since during the time of this plague, there has been no opposition to the growth of this power. What started as small raids against farms, against small villages and hamlets, began to increase in number and in boldness. And a month after Flan fell, a horde of this new power moved into Flan and took it over, cleared out the remaining infected, and started to rebuild and refortify as their own place. And not entirely alone. They had help.
From who? The Zentarum?
Perhaps. We're not sure, but they were able to cobble together a basic dock. And the Druid told us that a ship arrived, carrying weapons and armor and supplies, as well as reinforcements.
Did it carry animals as well?
No animals, but plenty of food and supplies, weapons and armor. And ever since, they have occupied Flan. Now, they haven't ventured out since then, other than with caravans and wagons going back and forth between Flan and the Thar. When you found us, we were going to scout and see if we could see any of their caravans. We've been keeping tabs on their numbers, and their numbers seem to grow. It is for this reason that the druid awoke the trees and commanded them to move north to serve as a watch against this growing threat in the Thar.
Well, if you believe us at least somehow, well, let me give you 2 recommendations. The first is, if you ever intercept the caravan, never do it during the night. If the caravans are guarded by those undead monstrosities we found in the abandoned one.
He says, how do you know this? We have not seen any such things. We scout day and night.
Well, we found that. And if you have not, they must have slipped.
Where did you say you found those blades?
We tell them.
East of here.
He says, we are not talking about the same thing. You found some camp, you said, with a wagon and
well,
that is to the valley to the east, towards Melvont. We don't go in that direction.
Those were here.
We've only been scouting along the western front, closer to Flan, because that's where this army has taken hold.
But those toys were exactly where we're saying they were. And the second one, if you ever see anyone that's still associating with the Red Blooms, trust me, they may have something to do with the Zentarum invaders. I believe so. And trust me, we've seen some shit.
He seems skeptical about what you're saying.
Well, if you don't believe me, so be it. But we have to find the druid now. We have that message for him. Can you point the way?
You spoke of a message for the druid.
Yeah.
From someone who you're working for in Melvont.
From a probably mutual friend.
He says, yes, we'll point the way. After she's done copying down this recipe for the cure.
Do you need any help, Ushun? Or are you already finished?
No, go away.
He's copying it. So as that's happening, the 2 other guys finish making this beans and rice, and they just scoop out a bunch of bowls. And you guys hear some sounds of footsteps coming up over the hill towards this camp at the plateau of the top of this hill. And you see 3 more kind of similarly armed and armored rangers that are walking up. And they're coming up from the south. And they kind of come up, and at first they're on guard, and then you see Laszlo just kind of put a hand up, and they sort of lower their bows. He walks over to them, and you see them kind of talking, and he's sort of whispering to them and looks over his shoulder at you guys and continues explaining things. And the 3 of them seem to be a little more at ease. And they approach, they grab some bowls of food, and they kind of sit around the campfire eating their food. A short while later, Ushun, you finish up copying the recipe. Laszlo reads it over and kind of seems to nod, and he says, yeah, I think most of these we could gather if we go a little bit west towards the river. There should be some of these things.
Laszlo, I'd like to speak with you about this away from this group, because I know some tricks about this recipe.
Okay. You take a short stroll kind of down the path. You're about 50 feet away.
Here's the deal. We worked for the Red Plumes in Flan. There was a ship in the harbor that was under quarantine. And we were tasked with getting this ship to Melvant. Now, we had to do some extradition, I won't say that, some crimes to get that ship out of the harbor and to Melvant. On that ship were infected animals in the hold. When we got to Melvant, several groups of people came and carted away, each one carted away a quantity of these animals. I didn't look at them closely, but they were in pretty rough shape. And I believe that this isn't the only ship that was sent to a port. So inadvertently, we contributed to this problem. And I am telling you this to be truthful and to tell you that after this mission, I might come back and help you guys out.
He says, I appreciate your honesty.
I'm a simple barbarian, you know?
Says, I do not think that the druid, I don't know if the druid knows what you just told me, and perhaps if you meet him, your willingness to share this information would be as an offer of peace to him. I do know that the druid tried to prevent some ships from coming to some of the ports several months ago. He performed a great ritual to Umberley in the hopes of creating storms that would shipwreck those ships. But he did not tell us why he was doing that. We assumed it had something to do with the Zentarum. But now, as you mentioned that these ships were full of infected, this could in fact have been the reason why he was performing the ritual.
I just want to say one other thing as background. Way before the outbreak in the town, in the cities, the elf and I were going through the Thar, escorting a merchant, and we encountered an ogre that was so infected. So this has many parts.
He says the infection seemed to be able to impact creatures that are both warm-blooded and cold-blooded.
Yeah, we saw a big crab.
Yes, we have not been down to the coast in months, but I know that other creatures have been infected, and I do not know if you will find the druid, what state he will be in, or what potential dangers you may face as you approach the coast, but we have not been there in some time.
Let me tell you about the harbor.
You should know one more thing.
Oh, yeah.
You and your party, you would be well advised to not address him as the Mad Druid. This is a derogatory term that was actually created by the Zentarum to discredit the Druid.
And the proper address would be?
They began spreading rumors, falsehoods about him in order to discredit him amongst those in power in some of the port cities, when in fact he has always been a protector of the Moonsea. He is a servant of Umberlee, and Umberlee is a chaotic divine being. Much like a storm cannot be predicted, and so too the druid can be unpredictable at times. But his intent has never been evil. His proper name is Morsus Ohm.
Okay.
He says, I will draw you a map. It will be crude, but it will at least bring you somewhere within the vicinity of where he is usually to be found. But as I said, we haven't been there in months. I do not know what the state of that area of the coast will be, so be cautious.
The port at Melvant was destroyed by sea creatures.
I cannot say what caused that, whether that was the effort of the druid to try and prevent these ships from coming to port or not.
No, these were infected sea creatures. Yeah.
Well, it seems that this infection transcends the warm-blooded creatures and can impact other creatures as well.
Yeah, I'm committed to fighting off this because my whole village was destroyed by some kind of plague. Not this plague, but some other. And I will keep the guys in check. Make sure Harley doesn't call him the Mad Druid.
You should also perhaps advise your friend that he may not want to speak of his origins. Many consider the Shadowfell to be an evil place and those who come from it to be evil. I do not know if your friend is evil or if he is perhaps just strange, but sometimes the Shadowfell is associated with darkness, and
yeah,
I am more than happy to hear that he has a desire to hunt the Zentarum, which would make him an ally in a manner of speaking. I would caution him not to necessarily share the truth of his origin, as others may not be as patient or open as I have been.
Yeah, this is the first I heard about all this stuff about him. I knew he was an oddball, but, you know.
He says, there have been rumors. He mentioned the Shadar Kai. There have been rumors for some time that some of the Shadar Kai have come to the Moonsea. to seek power. I have not encountered one myself, but it is something to be cautious about. Whether they can be trusted, I would no sooner trust a Shadar Kai than I would a drow.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for this recipe.
And I tell them about after you take it, what the effects are, and blah blah blah. And don't worry, it works.
You guys walk back to camp. A short time later, Laszlo has sketched you a rough map of where to go through the Moonwatch Hills. He emphasizes that when you cross the road, make sure that there's no infected following you. Make sure that there's no one following you, because once you go to the southern part of the Moonwatch Hills that lead to the coast, you're on your own, because they haven't gone south of the road in months. And the map seems to lead to a spot along the coast, kind of central to that chunk of the Moonwatch. So you guys gather your stuff. He and two of the other scouts grab their stuff and they walk with you along their path. And you guys get to the base of the Moonwatch Hills about a half mile north of the road. And you see he goes to that same spot where Harley had Murmur scouted out, and there's like a cluster of rocks and trees, and they kind of go into that spot. And you notice, like, in the trees and in this cluster, they have thatched a bunch of branches and leaves together, almost like a small hut. And he leads you guys into that hut. You notice that he then grabs his spyglass and he goes over to like one little crack between the trees and the rocks, and he kind of looks out. And he's there for a solid 2 minutes, just kind of looking back and forth. And he says, the coast looks clear. He said, you should go now. It would be more dangerous at night. And he goes, we will wait here in case you're ambushed while crossing the road. But once you're south of the road, you're on your own.
Understood. Thank you.
So they kind of emerge from this little cluster hidden hut, and the guys get their bows ready. You could tell that they're very much on guard. And Laszlo has his spyglass. He looks both ways one more time, and he says, go quickly.
Okay. I'm running.
Okay. You guys run across this half mile. You get to the road. You keep running. It's kind of open ground in this little valley area between the hills. And you run another half mile up into the hills until you're clear of the road. And you see, following his map, that it leads a few miles south through this part of the Moonwatch Hills towards the coast. I'm going to say that by this time, it's mid-afternoon. And you guys are moving through kind of up and down these hills and across these rocky areas.
While we're moving, I'll just relay to the group the stuff that Laszlo told me, and specifically to Harley, I will relate the stuff concerning him and his people. And about the druid's name, Morsis Om.
Okay.
We don't want to call him the Mad Druid, because that's a blasphemy. It's a lie.
Yeah, don't worry.
Yeah, don't show off so much, Hey.
Well.
So, Syllar, you're kind of taking point You're following the map. Make me a survival check.
Yeah, not so much. Survival was a 6.
You kind of get turned around. At one point, you're like going through the hills, and you come down this part, and it looks like sort of like a rocky landslide had happened, and it becomes where you should be just going straight, becomes like a 50-foot climb. Like you guys will have to like stop and get out rope and grappling hook to try to climb up this, or you can go around it and try to re-navigate to get back on the path.
With my rope probably going around and getting kind of halfway lost.
Oh no, I'm saying that. What I'm saying is, you're in this situation. You could choose which way you want to go. You can get out ropes and grappling hooks and do climb up this kind of straight cliff face to get back onto where you should be going, or you could try to go around the valley and around the hill and then go back up.
May I roll a survival check to
Sure.
to see if I could determine which would be the easiest or safest? Okay, 17.
So the most direct route to keep you on the path of the map that he had drawn would be to get out your ropes and to make the climbing checks to get up so that you're kind of staying on the map. You feel like it might take a little longer, but you could also go around and try to get back on that path.
How far do I think we can make it by twilight?
You'll be able to make it to the coast before it's dark. It's only a couple more miles.
Okay, going the long way around or climbing the cliff?
Either way. You're only a few miles away from the coast.
Yeah, I don't want to climb this cliff.
Okay.
It seems steep.
Yeah, and unstable as it's already been crashing down.
We don't have climbing gear either.
I got a grappling hook and rope, but yeah.
Yeah, I got that too, but yeah.
Let's go around.
All right, so you guys kind of begin going around. Ushun, you're kind of being mindful of the map, and you and Syllar are kind of leading you guys around. And you kind of you travel for a few hundred yards, and then you kind of start circling back to go up a hill. And at this point, go ahead and make a perception check.
Well,
5.
Okay,
Looking for something.
Roll initiative.
Oh, great. I have a danger sense. Can I roll at advantage on dex savings against never mind.
Right. Roll initiative and tell me what you got.
Syllar has a 6.
Oh no.
I'm better. I have 10.
Oh no. Angler?
7.
Oh no.
It was almost 16.
All right, Ushun?
2.
We really suck at initiative.
Oh no.
Well, I mean, it kind of makes sense because you're traveling along, you're kind of looking at the terrain, trying to orient yourself to the map. And that's when somebody, 22. Let's see, who is the victim? 1, 2, 3. Harley, you get hit by a big rock and you take 16 points of damage. Above you, you see a large, green-skinned, haggard-looking troll, and he just threw a big rock down at you, and he's frothing at the mouth, and he's got snot coming out of his nose, and his eyes are kind of red and crusty, and he's like, ah! And now he's just running towards you guys. So up first is Harley. You get hit by a rock. You take 16 points of damage. What do you want to do now?
What's the distance between me and the troll?
60 feet.
60 feet. Okay. Oh.
He's running down towards you guys.
Okay. Hexblade Curse and as the action and Hex as the bonus action.
Okay.
Some debuffs for the start and
what is your debuff going to affect?
Strength.
That's a smart move. Okay. All right. That brings us to Angler.
Gonna pull out my short bow and shoot at the troll.
Okay. Fire away.
17 to hit.
That does hit. Go ahead and roll damage.
That is 7 points of damage, and bonus action, Psychic Blade.
Okay.
Another 17 to hit,
All right.
and 8 points of damage.
Okay. 15 down. All right. Fantastic. Syllar, you're up.
Yeah. Bonus action for my Hunter's Mark.
Okay.
And then I loosen an arrow at this guy.
Nice.
What was the Hunter's Mark effect again?
I think it's 1d4.
Yeah. Ooh, net 20
Nice.
to hit.
Nicely done. That's your longbow, right?
Yep.
All right. What's your dex bonus?
This dex bonus was the. See, my longbow is +5.
Okay, so that is automatically
25.
13 damage. So your max for your longbow is 8, plus your 5 for your dex bonus is.
No, it's a nice +2. It's 1d8 +2 plus the d6 from the Hunter's Mark.
Oh, okay. So that's 16 points of damage. Now roll another d8.
Yep. That jumped. That's a 7.
Plus 12.
So that would be another 7 plus a d6. Plus 2 is 9 plus 2, 11 extra.
All right.
16 and 11.
So you did 27 points of damage on that critical hit using the badass system. Thank you. Up next, we have Ushun.
And I want to use my Mask of the Wild and try and hide.
Okay, you kind of spend like half your movement and you kind of duck behind a bunch of rocks and sort of blend in with some rocks.
The big boulder just got thrown.
Okay. Ushun, you're up.
I'm going to declare a reckless attack if he's close enough.
Are you raging?
No,
Okay.
I don't have to rage for
You
a
could
reckless.
run up to and meet him and attack.
Yep. So my first attack, I get advantage.
All right. Roll it up.
Okay. Ha! Nat 20. I think I don't have to roll again. So that's something like a 27 or something. Let's see. That was with the halberd. So that's
You do maximum of the die plus your strength bonus.
Yep.
Which is what?
D10. Well, it's 10 plus 7.
Okay. Plus 7 to damage? How do you
wait.
have plus 7 to damage?
Wait. Never mind. 10 plus 4. So that's 14.
Yep. And then roll another die and add your damage bonus.
Plus another 10. Plus
Okay.
4.
All right. That's a lot of damage, you guys.
I know.
931 is... Wow. You've done 70 hit points of damage to it so far. Okay. It is railed by your halberd attack. it is now going to make its attacks. So the first one is to hit on you, Ushun.
That's at advantage.
Okay. So presumably a 22 hits.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's going to be 5 damage. Second attack is another one of its claws. That's definitely a hit, 26 to hit for 5 damage. And the third one is going to be to bite you. So that is a 17 to hit. Does that hit?
Yeah.
17 to hit for 8 damage.
You know what?
Make a con save for me, friend.
And I'm not taking my second attack. I don't know why. That's okay.
Oh, I didn't know that you had that. So
Yeah, I do, but let's just
make
do
a
it
con
next time. I'll make a con save. Dang it. 7.
You are infected.
Yeah.
All right. It now has that many hit points, and it is Harley's turn.
I shoot him from the distance with the Eldritch Blast.
Okay.
Okay. And it's 16 and 20, not net.
Yes, 2 hits. Roll damage.
Okay. Uh, 20 for the first one, and 15 for the second one.
Okay, so you already added in all your bonuses. For that.
Yeah.
Okay, so that is a lot. It reels from the 2 blasts, and it's still right up near Ushun, but you definitely hit it pretty hard. Okay, Angler, you're up.
If I ran, could I get around it? Or would I need to use a bonus action to dash?
No, you could run. You could run your 30 plus your bonus action and get around it. And
Okay.
Then attack.
I'll do that and use my action to stab it in the back.
All right, sneak attack away.
That I shall. Dirty 20, 17, so dirty 20.
Hit.
Now it's 1d8 and 3d6, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Plus 4. 24 damage.
Ooh, it shrieks in pain as you stab it in the back, and its claws kind of extend out wildly. This brings us to Syllar.
Still far enough away to use my longbow without penalty.
Yep.
And he's gonna get another arrow. Hopefully, nope. It's a 10 to hit.
No, miss. Ushun, you're right up next to it.
Okay, I'm gonna make sure I get.
You get advantage since I'm flanking.
Yeah, I'm gonna make sure I get both my hits. I'm not doing a reckless attack. I'm doing regular attack.
Okay.
So, let's see here. So that is a 13.
Miss. Second attack.
Yep. 9.
Miss. You swing twice as it's wildly flailing around you.
Are you swinging with advantage?
No, I'm not doing a reckless.
We're flanking, so it's advantage for both of us.
Okay, 2 more. Sorry.
No problem.
Okay, so this one is like a 16
Yes, that's a hit.
and a 23.
Roll
Okay,
damage.
let me see. 10. Oh, it's an 8. No, it's a 10. Okay, so the first one is 13.
Okay.
And the second one is 8.
Oh, so close.
Yeah, probably 1 hit point away.
It flails out. It's going to claw at both of you. So the first claw attack is going to be at Angler. 15. Does that hit?
Yep, that is my AC.
Okay. You're going to take 8 hit points. Second claw attack at Ushun. 12. Does that hit?
No. Well, that's exactly my AC.
Then you're going to take 9. And then its last one is going to be to bite Angler. 14.
That misses.
Okay. And that is the end of his turn, which brings us back to Harley. This creature is very wounded, but it is full of infected rage and just keeps trying to lash out and bite and claw.
I'll try to hit him one more time with the Eldritch Blast.
Okay.
So it's 23 and 13.
Okay, the 23 is a hit. Go ahead and roll damage.
Okay. $23.
You blast him back, and he falls to the ground, splayed out on the ground.
I hope I like duck under his legs or something.
Yeah, you and Ushun kind of move back, and he falls on the ground, and like some of the rocks kind of slide around him when his large body hits the ground. So that was Harley. Angler, you're there. It seems like he came from the hill, like up above you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Not in the direction we have to go.
No, just like you're passing through wherever his area is.
And it seems dead.
Yeah, it's not moving.
Angler.
We may cut his head for the good measures. I have heard pretty wild stories about trolls.
I'm gonna look at Ushun.
Hey, Angler. I fish out a vial out of my pack. Want to light him up?
As you see that, the troll reaches up and grasps out at you,
Oh no.
raking you with a claw. AC 16, Ushun.
Yeah, it got me.
That's a hit for 6 damage. Angler. AC, no, that's an 11. That's a miss. And the bite attack. 17.
On me?
Yep.
Yeah, it hits.
9 damage for the bite attack, and you need to make a con save.
I will uncanny dodge. Is that 4 or 5 points?
Let's say 4.
It halves. Okay.
Let's say 4. Make a con save.
Con save. 16.
Okay. You succeed. Syllar, you're up.
Yeah. As I see him go down, I just drop my bow and get my short swords out
Okay.
and just go hack and slash on him.
You're running over to join the melee?
Yeah.
Okay.
So first sword, net 1 on my first one, and second sword. What? A double net 1. Oh my.
That's crazy.
You're so surprised by him reanimating and attacking that you're like, oh.
What the heck?
Ushun, this is you now.
I unstopper the flask and I say, "Hey Harley, light him up!" And I dump the flask on him.
Okay, you dump the flask on him.
It's oil.
Okay, it's full of oil.
Yep.
He claws at 1, 2, 3, 4. Who is he gonna claw at? He is going to claw at Syllar. AC 19.
It's a hit.
All right, for 9 damage. He's going to then claw at Angler for AC 10, which is a miss. And then he's going to bite Syllar, AC 14.
Miss.
Miss. Okay. Back to Harley.
I presume I'm still far away.
Yes, I presume that too, because you didn't move.
Yeah.
Well, I'm hoping you got a fire spell.
Yeah, Hellish Rebuke. And Prestidigitation that has a range of 10.
Yeah, that won't work.
So I run closer and I shoot him once more just to get him down.
With Eldritch Blast?
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead.
The first one is 18 and the second one is miss.
Okay.
And it's 17 damage.
He drops again.
Got his head off!
I'm gonna quickly take out a tinderbox, light a match, and throw it on him.
By the way, him being prone, was that giving us advantage?
No. Normally it would be, but I've decided against that. You light him up, he burns because there's oil all over him, and he shrieks and he burns and then he's dead. Successfully, the smell of burning troll plumes throughout the otherwise quiet and undisturbed Moonwatch Hills.
Isn't that lovely?
If only we could eat it.
It smells.
It's nasty.
It smells retching. Ushun, you don't feel well.
Yeah. How much further is it to where we need to go?
About 1.5 miles.
Okay. Let's get to where we need to go, and then I'll take the potion.
Okay. You guys continue.
I don't want to slow you down.
Weaving your way through. Syllar and Ushun, make me survival checks.
Dirty 20.
4. Makes sense.
Okay. Syllar, you navigate you guys back onto the path. And essentially, as you guys kind of emerge from the hills, you come down, and the last half mile or so is sort of like rocky coastal land. And you're following the map, and it kind of leads around, almost like you're sort of following the lowlands of the hills, almost all the way up to the water. And you see that there's sort of a natural harbor, like sort of where like the coastline kind of comes together. And there's hills that go all the way up to the water. And that's kind of where you're circling around. According to the map, it kind of shows you sort of coming down to the water and then walking along the rocky beach to the edge of this hill. And as you're kind of coming across this, you see that there's a cave entrance. Like the water literally goes up to this rocky beach, and there's this cave entrance. And that's where the map shows the druid to be.
Okay.
Well, here
Shall
goes
we
nothing.
announce ourselves?
More system!
Okay, that covers that.
You shout out. You don't hear any response.
We need help!
You also don't see any light from within the cave. Do you guys want to approach and
Oh,
go?
yeah.
Okay.
Wait, guys. Maybe the druid is unwell. I'll send the murmur there.
Okay.
We don't want to be surprised.
Mm-hmm.
You send Murmur in. Looking through Murmur's perceptions, this is a large cave entrance, like 18 feet tall and probably 20 feet wide, and it goes in quite a ways. And as it goes in, you could tell that there's kind of this rocky floor, and then there's sort of a ledge up, and up above the ledge is kind of this rocky floor that is dry. So it looks like maybe the water, the tide comes into this cave, but it doesn't go all the way up as if to flood that ledge. And the cave kind of ends in this open cavern that looks like someone has lived here, right? Like it looks like along the walls of this cavern, like it's been, the stone has been shaped, and there's like shelves, and there's like a kind of an upper level where it's almost like a bunk, like where someone would sleep, and you see like comfortable bedding on that. You see the rock has different parts where there's like holes in it, and you see like kind of torches, though they're not lit, are sitting in these holes along the cavern. You see a stone. Again, it almost looks like the stone itself has been shaped, but you see like a stone table and sort of a stool or a chair, again, made out of stone, sort of in the center. You see a hearth, like a cooking hearth, and you see all clay bowls and stoneware for like eating on and utensils. And it looks like there's also a natural kind of spring from within the rock that is sort of like dripping into this basin, almost like a bathtub. And all this stuff is there. Looks like it's obviously like been occupied at some point, but no one is in there.
Well, I want to get up to that ledge, take the potion, and get my cure.
Are you guys all going in the cave then?
I am.
Yeah, I want to know how long it was unoccupied.
Okay, so you guys...
a place to hide.
Oh yeah, I mean it's pitch black in there.
Dark vision.
Mm-hmm.
I'm using murmur.
Okay. Anybody lighting any kind of light source?
No, I'll just sit in the dark and brood.
Okay, so you guys go into the cave, you go up onto the ledge into the kind of living quarters, and you're in there. Ushun, you drink the potion.
Yeah.
You make me another con save to see if you stay awake or if you fall asleep.
Ooh, 22.
Okay, you take the potion, you stay awake. You guys are in this cave for probably about an hour.
You guys might want to take yours too. You were bit.
I wasn't bit, only scratched.
Yeah. I only got punched.
I maintain my vigil, and if I develop any symptoms, then it's soon enough.
Okay.
Okay.
So
I was the
in
only one
cave.
bit?
You're in the cave for about an hour, and you guys are just kind of there listening to the tide hit the beach and kind of roll out. It's sort of a very soothing sound. And then you hear the sound of wings flapping. And those of you with dark vision can see that a hawk has flown into the cave and has landed at the edge of the ledge that separates like the wet rocky area from the dry habitable area. And the hawk kind of lands there and looks at you guys. And then it opens its beak and it says, "Who are you and why have you come here?" And it projects that voice speaking that. And that is where we will end this episode of the Moonsea Adventures. Thanks as always for tuning in, for liking and subscribing. If you want to help us out more by supporting us on Patreon, go over to patreon.com/BillAllenWorld and check out the various tiers of interesting things that you can pledge to support the channel. Thanks, and we'll see you on the next episode. Peace out.
Well, hello, and welcome to Bill Allen World. I am Wizzy, the Wizard. I'm back once again to remind you to subscribe and click on the notifications button, and also watch videos that are over there. Tune in to the next episode of whatever show you are just watching, and watch other shows featuring Bill. He made me say that because he's a narcissist. Okay, bye.